All right, I think we're probably live right now, even though it says it's preparing the live stream. So I'm going to go ahead and say hi to everybody. Hey, you guys, thank you for tuning in. This is Danielle Pierce, creator of Women, Wealth, and Real Estate, soon to be changing to Real Estate Profit Lab, FYI. So just wanted to go ahead and put that out there. But I'm here with the wonderful Terry Igioma. Did I get that right?
Yes, you got
And we're going to be talking today about investing in the stock market. So we're just going to go ahead and get started. Y'all come in, say, hey, let us know where you're watching from. Be sure to hit the like, subscribe, share button, do all that good stuff. But Terry, how you doing today?
I'm good. I'm good. How are you? Happy New Year.
Thank you. Happy New Year to you as well. Well, you look happy and refreshed. Is that because you're thinking about are you going to Thailand or Bali?
The first place I'm going is South Africa. Next month I'll be in South Africa, and then in April I'll be in Bali.
Yes. And you're going to South Africa for a month, right?
Yep, a month. I just bought a place. I got, well, not bought. I did an Airbnb February 1st through the 25th. I said, I'm just going to go and enjoy my life.
So that's a great segue into the name of your company, which is I Trade and Travel, right? That's your website too as well. So Terry, I know the heading alone, $1,000 a day in the stock market, people are going to be like, oh, how is this possible? This is not true. This is a scam. How is she doing it? But can you just back up and tell us first who you are, like how you got your start and what your background is?
Sure. So I actually used to be in education, and my last job was I was an assistant principal of an elementary school, but unfortunately I hated it. Like I just from the administration, I was the founder of a new elementary. So we had everybody, all eyes on us, pressure all the time. I had like four different bosses. Like I would cry in the bathroom. Me and the assistant principal every day were like crying in the bathroom because it was just so crazy. And then, so I was like, I got to get out of this. And on top of that, my friend had passed away. So it was just like stuff coming from every angle, and I needed an exit strategy. And for me, my exit was investing in the stock market. And I know that sounds crazy. Some people are like, well, how did you go from education to the stock market? But I had been doing it as a side hobby for a long time. Like I love companies, and I had been, just trying to invest in companies on the side as a side hustle. So I knew it worked. I just didn't know, like I just didn't have it as a full-time thing. So when all this started happening, and I was just like, you know what? I'm gonna make this work for real. And I just needed $300 a day to replace my income. So that was my goal.
So if you don't, a few things. What was so bad about education though? Because I hear a lot of different things. I actually know a lady who worked in Baltimore. She worked as a teacher, and she'd been a teacher for years, and she went to work and she never came back one day. So is it
with her, girl, so many times I used to talk to my grandmother, and my grandmother was like, you need to go in there. And my grandmother, she's a character. She was a character. She was like, you need to go in there and just tell him, kiss your ass. I was like, what? She's like, yeah.
Well, why was it so bad though? Like what made it so terrible?
Girl, okay, so it was a couple things for me. I think if I think about it in the spiritual realm, I would say that I was gifted, but I wasn't really using my gifts to the highest potential. So I do think that I was trying to make myself fit in a job that was smaller than me. And that might sound like really, I don't mean to sound that, make that in a braggy way, but I just know that like, I went to MIT. I have all these business ideas. I had run a company. I had run a real estate company and like was managing director of the company. But I took all those things and then just said, well, I need a stable income. So let me just go into this job and try to make it work. And I think that one of the biggest problems I really do feel was I was trying to make myself fit into a place where I didn't need to be. And I think sometimes we do that in jobs. We're, just trying to make it work when God has so many bigger plans for us. So I think one, I was just in the wrong position, period. And then on top of that, I was trying to make it work. I felt like I was working as hard as I could, but I had bosses that would just nitpick. So like I did one project, and it was a project where we were putting up these posters in the hallway for the kids, and it was going to be a really great thing. I worked on this for like, I had my family come in helping me put up posters. Like we worked on this for a good amount of time. And then when the head of schools came in, she was like, well, I don't like it because one of the thumbtacks that you used was a different color than all the rest of the thumbtacks. And I was like, are you serious? All of the work that we put into decorating this school, you're going to come at me with the thumbtack is the wrong color? Like just nitpicky, petty stuff. And I think she was just trying to just to take my fire away, just trying to make me feel like I wasn't worth it. So it was just a number of things like that where it just felt like you could never get it right, always stressed out, always making you work really hard and have these random deadlines in the morning that don't really mean anything. So just it was a bad, really toxic environment.
Okay. So I'm glad you mentioned it because if I hear you correctly, it sounds like you had the degrees, you had the fire years ago, or you always, maybe you always had it, right? So you had that, and then you got scared and you went into a whole different career. You shifted into a career. That career did not work for you, which even though you tried to make it work because that wasn't where you were supposed to be. And then that situation took you to a point where you couldn't take, you were like, okay, bring on the fear. I'm still scared, but I'm going to leave this job anyway. Pretty much. Okay.
Yes. That's when it was like, you know what? I need to take a leap of faith. I know that this can work. Yes, nobody I've seen has traded stocks before and made it work for them, especially not as a full-time job. I also wanted to travel. So it was like, I got to give up everything and go abroad. That was a leap of faith.
Yeah.
But it turned out amazing because I went from that $300 a day to then ended up making $1,000 a day and then teaching other people because they were like, wait, hold on, how are you affording all these trips you doing? And it was because I was trading in the stock market.
Okay, so back to the trading, because I know that people are probably watching like, well, I don't have $1,000 to start with. So do you need thousands of dollars to start with? And then I know you mentioned before that you would trade initially 3 times a day, like before work, your lunch break, and then after work is kind of how you did it until initially. Okay, so talk about that for a minute.
So the first question was how much do you need to get started? So I would say, so first I have to address that there's a difference between just long-term investing and then trading like I do. So
Okay.
longer term investing is like you invest in a stock and then you just let it sit in there for a while. I'm a trader, which means I'm making active income. So I'm trading on a daily, weekly basis to make income so I can use that money to pay for my bills, travel. Last year I paid off my student loans with the money.
Girl, wait a minute. Let's give her a round of applause for that. She paid off the student loans with the stock market. And you guys, just so you know, because I know again, YouTube attracts a lot of people. And again, I know that when people talk about certain things or things that they're doing that, it's easy to look at it and say, oh, well, that's not possible. And I want to caution you to not make the mistake of assuming that because you can't do something that other people can't do it and other people aren't doing it. Terry is, a phenomenal entrepreneur, a very sincere person. And I don't even talk to any entrepreneurs who I don't even believe in legitimately, like in real life. I just don't do it. So you left your job, you stopped letting fear stop you. You started at $300 a day, you ended up at $1,000 a day. And now you teach other people how to actively trade, right?
Yes.
Yes. And you paid off your student loans. Oh my gosh, that is so dope.
Last year altogether, I paid off like $150,000 of debt.
That's your MIT degree, right?
Well, that's my MIT. But you know what? To tell you the truth, to learn how to invest in the stock market, you don't need a degree. I think investing in stocks is one, and real estate too, but it's one equalizer where you didn't have to, get a 4 or 5 year degree to do this. You just need to learn from the right teacher.
Yeah.
And back to your question of how much you need to get started, because like to open a brokerage account, you can actually start with any amount, but depending on the broker, they'll have minimums. The one I use, the minimum is $500. So for many of my students, they start with $500 and then they get access to a simulator where they can practice with fake money. And so while they're learning how to trade and learning how to invest in stocks, they're actually practicing with fake money, seeing some returns, and then I tell them to go back to their real account. So a lot of them, they'll start with the 500 and then maybe every month they'll just put a little bit more into that account. And then a good place to start as a trader, which remember we're making active income, is $2,000 because that way you can also start using the bank's money to trade when you get to 2,000.
Okay. So you said how long? So for new people, you can start with 500, but you recommend 2,000. And then also as far as how long you should practice, is there a specific time frame that you allow, or do you like tell people, okay, I'm on after 6 months or however, like you can't keep practicing, it's time to get in the game? Like, do you give a specific time frame?
Actually, everybody's a little different. So I have some people that are like, Terry, I'm practicing with my real money from the jump, because if I practice with my real money, then I know I'll be more invested.
That's
Other
true.
people are like, no, I'm gonna like wait and see my gains grow, and then I'll be with my practice with my real money. What I suggest is, in my class, our goal is to make 1% of your cash amount a day. So when you start seeing consistently that you're making 1% of your cash amount, after about 10 times of doing that, then take the trade with your real money so you can make some real cash with your money. So I think it's really just kind of a numbers game. See that you have some consistency, and then go ahead and jump over to your real account.
Okay. So I know one of the questions, and I haven't even checked the comments yet, but I just know what's coming. You guys, I'm talking to Terry Ijeoma. She is the founder of I Trade and Travel, and she is a stock market investor, a stock market trader. I'm sorry, not an, there's a difference between trading. Okay, stock market trader. And she's actually a day trader or a weekly. So she's trading on an active basis, which is different than what I do. I just buy stuff and just kind of let it sit. And that's because I don't know how to trade. So that's on my list for 2021. Please come in, like, subscribe, share the video. Terry also has a YouTube channel as well. We're going to post the link to that in just a second. But I wanted to ask you about this. Oh, what are you trading?
Okay. I made about $3,000 yesterday on Roku. If people don't know what Roku is, that's the streaming channel on your TVs. A lot of new TVs. And wait, before I say this, let me give you a disclaimer. I am saying these things for educational purposes only. I am not telling you to invest your money. I'm also not a broker. So all of this is just for educational purpose. I'm telling you what I do, but not what you should do. So if you invest at your own risk, okay?
Thanks for that disclaimer. So she's not telling you to go buy Roku, but tell us what did you do with Roku that made you $3,000 yesterday?
So for me, so I teach a couple different strategies in my class. When you're first starting out, the first 4 classes is called Trade and Travel. We're looking at going long. So that means buying low and selling high. But we do it using technical analysis. So we're finding out on a chart where the bank's buying and where the bank's selling. And then when we find out where the banks are buying, we can actually buy at that price too. So last week and like between the end of the year and beginning of the new year, Roku actually had fallen into one of our buyers levels. So on a chart, we're able to see where the banks are buying. It had come down in price to that level. So I was able to get into the stock. And then we saw it yesterday come up to one of our targets where the banks are selling. So then we sold it, and you can make profit on that. You can do that over and over again. Where the bank's buying, buy. Where the banks are selling, sell it. And I know some people are probably wondering, well, what about longer term positions? Do you ever hold anything long term? And the answer is, I actually have about 30 stocks that I trade, and they are my long term position, but I'm trading in and out of them. I believe in them for the long run. That's how I pick the companies. I pick good companies, good value, companies that have great forecasts for the future. But I'm just trading in and out of them so I can make regular income.
Okay. Yes, it does make sense. So the companies that you identify, you're not randomly just picking companies that that you like or that you make, that you're familiar with. You're actually picking these companies based upon a specific analysis that you utilize. And then it's really just at that point, it's just a numbers game, right? Like you said earlier, it's not a question of like, what should you do? It's just, okay, if it gets here, do this. And if it gets here, do that.
Yes.
Oh.
So what it's called a trading plan. And a trading plan tells you, okay, these are the steps that I take every time I take a trade. And then you just have to have discipline to follow your plan. And so part of that plan is picking good companies. And so I talk about that in my trade and travel course. Like we have criteria of how we pick a company. When it hits that criteria, then okay, it's a good company to have in our watch list. Now the next part is risk management. I have several formulas that I give them on how to manage their risk, whether that's do this formula to say how many shares do you buy, do this formula to say if the reward to risk is good. So they go through those steps. If it fits and we feel like, okay, the reward on this one is much higher than our risk, then we're able to actually get into the trade. And we then go into our charts. Okay, now where do we get into the trade? What stock price? That's when the charts come in. But these are the steps that I teach in the class. Yeah, and that's
Okay.
how you do
So I
it.
know people are probably wondering how much time does it take? So obviously you trade almost daily, right? But how much time are you spending now doing it, like out of your day?
So I would say 2 to 4 hours a day if you are really trying to be a day trader, make income. But I will say, as you get better, you spend less and less time. So like right now, I checked my stocks in the morning to just see where they are, and then like I'm on the call with you guys. I don't have to watch it all day.
Yeah.
And I have some alerts. You can set alerts in your phone for like, okay, if the stock comes to this price, let me know. And then I can go in and, tinker with it, decide to buy or sell. So really now I only spend maybe an hour a day because I'll
Ooh.
check it, see how things are doing. And then, okay, I'm good. Go about my day.
Okay.
So really, yeah, I think it takes a little more time when you're first getting to know how to do it, but then it takes less and less time.
Okay. So we covered that. What can people go to like today if they wanted to start learning more, or just what would be like a first step that you recommend for people to do?
Honestly, I definitely tell people to go to itradeandtravel.com and check out my course. And I'm
Yeah.
not even saying that as like a promo thing. I have a lot of people say, well, Terry, what books can I read or what this? But the reason I made the course is because I didn't find anything else out there that had a plan, like a complete plan, the way that mine is.
Okay.
Like, yeah, I can't even tell you a book because the thing is, if you go on one YouTube channel, they're going to tell you to trade this way. If you go to one book, they're going to tell you to trade this way. So if you're looking for a comprehensive plan, then definitely look for the course. But if you are just trying to get to know the market, one app that I really like, and also it's a TV channel, is CNBC.
Okay.
You start watching the CNBC channel on TV, and that'll get you used to the words and the jargon that we use. Like, what is earnings, which is coming out now? That's when the companies start reporting how they're doing. What is a inverse curve? Like one of the things that was really bothering the market last year was the interest rate for the 30-year yield was different than the 10-year yield, and that really took the market down. But you can start hearing that kind of stuff on the CNBC channel. And also they have an app on your cell phone. When you do on the app, you can put in companies and create a watch list, and it'll actually notify you when any news comes up on your companies. So I think that's a really great first step that's free, everybody can do, and it'll get you used to seeing stock prices and words.
I'm glad you just referred people directly to your course. And then guys, I have a link to her course, which I'm going to post. I'll post it it'll be the very first comment when we're done with this video. So I'm posting it. If I post in the chat box, nobody will see it or everyone won't see it, but it'll be the very first comment when we're done. But I'm glad that you mentioned for people to go directly to your course. And I'm going to tell you guys why. Most of you, if you're watching this, and we definitely appreciate you, be sure to like, subscribe, and share. If you're watching this, it's because you have interest in investing in or trading in the stock market, and you've been thinking about it, and you've been thinking about it for a long time. You've been researching, you've been on YouTube, you've been looking up all these free resources. And I saw a quote the other day. It's from this book called Eat That Frog, and I posted on my Facebook page. And basically the quote said that it said, successful people always push themselves to get stuff done, and unsuccessful people, are always looking for how do they phrase it? Unsuccessful people are always looking for basically something else to happen. Like they need to be like kicked in the butt, or they're waiting for somebody to bring them along. And I say that because I think that Terry's had a lot of success doing this. Her students have had a lot of success. You guys go to her. You have a Facebook group too, right?
I do. Well, the Facebook group is for students only, but if you go to Invest with Terry Facebook page, yes, you'll see some testimonies there.
Yeah, she has a lot of testimonials. And then there's one that really jumped out at me, because it's one thing to be bragging and saying, okay, you got students who've made a few $1,000s. But for some people, wouldn't like $300 or $400 make a big difference? And don't you have a lot of people who just be like, okay, this is more than I expected. So don't you have people like that?
Yes, we do. So we have $100 a day club and $1,000 a day club, and we have a lot of people that have hit the $1,000 a day club. But we have a lot of people that have hit the $100 a day club, and they are killing it. Because like one thing I think people don't realize is the average minimum wage or hourly salary is like $10 an hour. So if somebody makes $100 in a day, that's 10 hours of work that they didn't have to work anymore. Like I had one student that I taught. He worked for I don't know if it was UPS or FedEx, but it was one of the companies where he worked with on a truck and he would go and deliver packages. Well, he makes $10 an hour. And when he in my class, there were several days where he made $100 a day. Like that's a whole day of work that he didn't have to work anymore.
And that's
And
a big deal.
a whole bunch. It was a small account. So yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah, that's a big deal. I say that all the time when I talk to people. It's like, and then I don't know if you know this. I was reading an article earlier this year, and it was about the state minimum wage, which can be different than federal. And in Georgia, Terry, the state minimum wage, I think it's $5.85. Now, obviously, they pay, I think the average might be 7 or 8 or something like that for the state. But legally, like federally, it was like $5.85. And I couldn't believe that that was still a real thing with, I mean, I don't even know if a kid could live off of that amount of money per hour, right? I mean, if you think about it that way.
Yeah, that's why it's so important to have a supplemental income. Like to me, everybody needs to be an investor because you can't. Not that you can't, because like I know my mom was a single mom and she made it work. Like she never made more than like $35,000 a year. She still makes $35,000 a year, and she still took care of us. So I don't know, like I don't know how our moms did it, and they like just made that thing stretch, but now I feel like everybody needs some kind of side hustle, and investing is a nice like I don't have to actually put in hard working hours to make this work, but I have some extra money coming in. So yeah, it's hard on a $5. I can't. That's hard.
Yeah. And then what would you say to people who are just, because I know this is your number one comment that you get from people who join your class, and even those who don't, they're just scared,
Yeah.
or they're looking for guarantees, and they're just like, I'm petrified by fear. What do you tell those people?
God did not give us a spirit of fear, but a spirit of power and a sound mind. And I know everybody. You may not be a believer or have different religious faiths, but I will tell you that nothing good comes out of fear. Fear will
Well,
steal everything from you. It will steal your momentum. It will steal your future. It will steal future possibilities. So and tell you the truth, like there's so many things that I do even now. I just do it scared. Like every time I go speak on a stage, I'm terrified, but I just do it scared. When I take my trades, yes, I have a possibility to lose. Like trading is one thing where every trade you're either 50% right or wrong. Like there's no in between. You either make money or you lose.
right.
But I do it anyway because we can try to figure out ways to lower our risk, and we can do math to make sure that we take more successful trades. But every single time you just got to do it afraid, because you know that this eventually will work, and you know that this is a tried and true like discipline. It will work, but you got to just do it afraid.
Okay. What did you ever have a day where you had a trade and you were like, oh my God, I didn't see this. I can't believe this actually happened. I never expected this amount of money. Like what made you realize, okay, this is a real thing. And I'm about to make this work. Was there a day like that?
So there's been a couple days like that. So okay, so I can tell you one example from when I was still at the school, and then a couple examples from more recently.
Okay.
So one day I was still at the school, and I remember I was trading at my desk at the school. Remember, I was assistant principal elementary school. And so I'm sitting here like taking a trade, and then all of a sudden my principal walks in the door, and then I hear my computer trade exited or something, like it spoke, because when the trade happens, like the computer speaks. So he like walks in and the computer speaks, and I look down and I'm like, oh my God, I just made $3,000. And that was more than my monthly salary. Like I only made like $4,000 a month as a principal. So then my principal walks in and he says something kind of crazy, and I'm just like, oh no, I can't, I can't do this. this is gonna be my last day. And I tried to like push it out because I needed to like I wanted to make sure that I had insurance and my mom was in my ear like you need a plan and you can't leave yet. Don't leave to the end of the year. But oh no, that day when I made almost my monthly salary in that one trade,
That was the day you quit in your head.
girl. That was that I wish you would money because then every day instead of being mad I was like I wish y'all would say something to me today because I would leave. I can, it changed your whole mindset about life when you have some extra money on the side. You're like, oh, okay, yeah, what you want me to do today? It's not gonna get done today. You start changing deadlines and stuff. Oh, I can't do that tonight. I got plans. Tomorrow will be the day.
I like how you just kept that so real because everybody like if I would won the lottery, I would still keep my job. Well, if I did this, I still work. I'm like, really? You still be working there?
Right. I think it is. Yeah, it's just one of those things too. Like it gives you that era of freedom. But I also think that was the same era of freedom that made some of my bosses hate me more. So that kind of thing also made the environment even worse. When I think back on it, I'm like, you know what? They probably were trying to figure out like, why don't she need this job like we need this job? Because I don't like I just don't have to be here.
Yeah. And how
Um,
much longer were you there after that first $3,000 day?
After that $3,000 day, I was there for about, oof, I was there like 6 more months because I did that like in like January time. And for school year doesn't end till the summer.
Yeah.
So I still had to put on a good face and be humble and make that thing work for 6 more months before I was able to finally quit. And when
Okay.
my principal came back that summer, he was like, "Oh, are you ready for the next year?" That's when I was like, "Nah, I'm throwing up these deuces. I can't do this."
Really? Okay. I'm so glad that you said that. Wow. I just love everything about that story. And then real quick, how long were you in education?
10 years, but I did it in different phases. Like I usually was on the administrative side. So I worked for Teach for America and their national department, helping to train teachers. I worked in a ministry where I helped actually in Chicago. And I was on the strategic team, helping to build out their volunteer department, but it was an after school program. And then ended up coming and helping to found the elementary school.
Okay, somebody asked a good question in here, and this is actually a question that I'm glad that they asked. This is from Pay Yourself First. Love the handle, by the way. And they said, don't you need $25,000 to avoid the pattern day trading rule? Can you talk about that $25,000 requirement?
Yes, that's a great question. So, if you are trading more than 3 day trades in a week, so that means you get into the trade and out of that same trade within a day, then you do have to have at least $25,000 in your account. What I found though is usually when we're trading, we don't need to actually trade the same stock in that day to make our income. So, for example, let's say that I told you guys about Roku. I got into it last Friday, but then I sold it on Monday. So that's not a day trade anymore. It's technically called a swing trade. If
Uh,
you're doing things like that, then you don't have to have $25,000 in your account. And what we do though, if we're trying to make regular income, so I told you guys you're trying to buy in a buyer's zone and then sell at a seller's zone. So I just have stocks that are rotating in that process. So some of them I might be getting into because they just hit my buyer's level. And then there's other stocks in my portfolio that are getting towards their target. So those are the ones that I'm selling and taking income from. And it's just kind of like this consistent cycle. So you're selling them kind of as they're ready. I would think of it like harvesting a plant. Some of them planting seeds and then you're letting those kind of grow, but then others are already grown and you're going ahead and picking those and pulling those up for your harvest. So you're just consistently doing that in your portfolio as well, and that's giving you consistent income.
okay. So day trading and swing trading, there's a difference even between those two.
Yeah.
And the day trading is a 25. If you're actually moving in and out in the same day, you need that 25,000. Yes. Okay.
Yes.
All right. Somebody asked another good question. Oh, Joey says he took your course and it's paying off. So shout out to Joey.
Oh,
Joey
yes.
J.
Congratulations. Hey, Joey.
Yeah. And then April Joy said you explained things really, really well on your Instagram channel. What's your IG handle, by the way, Courtney? Terry?
I'm an investor. It looks
I'm
like
an investor.
Imani investor, so a lot of people think my name is Imani, but it's I'm an investor.
Yeah, I remember he said that. She's like, Imani? I was like,
There you go.
um,
That's cool too.
all right. And then somebody said, what broker do you use? Or what do you, which one did you recommend initially?
Yeah, so we use one called Trade Station. They're
Okay.
really great. When you're thinking about picking a broker, you got to think of a couple things like their customer service, their order types, their charting technology. So I really like, and how quickly they can get in and out of a trade. So like you'll see some brokers. I'm sorry, I don't know if I'm supposed to answer questions fast or not, but
Uh-uh.
that's one of the things we cover in the course too, like how to pick a good broker, how to enter your trades. So yes.
Okay. And then since we're talking about the course, because I know that people are always worried about spending money and then not having any support. And I know for you, you offer, like myself, an extensive amount of support to people that you work with, both on the regular course and the VIP level. So if they buy the regular course, what happens after they buy?
Sure. So it depends which level you buy. So if you buy the full the full VIP program, we have weekly coaching calls. So every Monday we're jumping on a call and I'm helping them through whatever trades they're doing. So that's actually the most support comes in the VIP. And we actually, Danielle, you don't even know this, but I'm trying out a live crash course weekend too. And so the
Oh,
VIPs get to come in person and we actually work through my course. So I'm so excited. Like you get a
yeah,
live.
Dallas though, right? In Dallas?
That was happening in Dallas. Uh-huh. And then and so it's VIPs as they come in, you don't even have to do it just right now, but as you come in, that's like an option for you so you can get that kind of support. And then if you don't have the money to purchase the VIP just yet, I say go ahead and get in still, but you can get in with the trade and travel, which is the first 4 classes. They have Q&As. So not weekly, but monthly we do a couple Q&As for them. So as you're going through the online curriculum, you can still ask your questions. So
Okay. And how many sessions are there?
right now we're doing bi-weekly. So like every other week there's a session for you to be able to ask your questions.
For how long? Is it 8 weeks? Is it still 8 weeks?
Program is still 8 weeks, but now people can come in at any time. So I don't want to put a time limit on it. Come in whenever you ready to get started, and then we'll get you taken care of.
Okay, but do they have support for like the next year, or do they have support for like a limited number of sessions?
Limited number of sessions.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's kind of hard because before I was saying lifetime, but limited just within a year, you have support.
Okay. And then I think that actually makes sense. So there's very few options that you can buy where you have lifetime support. I did that before as well, and I was just like, this was like a bad idea.
Right, right. So y'all,
And
go ahead.
no, only because it allows people who are scared to continue to remain scared. You know what I mean? As opposed to just, okay, if you know something is ending, then you move a lot differently than if you know that, well, I can call Terry and, she gonna help me whenever. You know what I mean? So.
No, player, no. That
Oh my God.
You're right. And y'all know Danielle's been pushing me to be even more strict in my business. And this is one area. So yes, I hear you, Miss Danielle. I'm not letting y'all come in forever. Get in now because it is limited amount of time where you can access me.
Yes. Yes. And you have such great content and you explain things so well that I just think it's wonderful to be able to help people. And also to, put yourself in a position where you can go to South Africa for a month and then Bali for another month in the same year, but also to be able to help other people do the same thing as well. And again, her testimonials really do speak for themselves, you guys. So you can go check those out online. What else do people need to know about you? And we're going to drop the link to the course in a minute, but what else do you want people to know about trading or Terry or whatever?
Yeah. One thing, so I just had a meeting and I want people to start thinking about this in general. So I think we've got to change our mindset about what's possible with money, just as a people and a culture. So I had a meeting, and one of our big goals is we're trying to teach 1,000 people to make $1,000 a day this year. So that's actually $1 million a day that the community will be generating. And so now we're starting to think about like, what could we do with $1 million a day? Like what communities could be changed? What lives could be changed? What, ministries could we serve? What, economic development could we bring about? So like, it's a movement. It's bigger than just wanting to learn how to invest for your goals. It's about how do we as a community grow and change the narrative when we're starting to make more money. And I think that's something that we've got to start thinking through, and just I want to encourage you guys to have a bigger mindset. Like, how do you change your mindset to be part of this movement and start really seeing change in your own life through investing?
I'm glad you said that, because I know earlier you said that you think everyone should be an investor, or everyone should invest in the stock market. And I'm really big on entrepreneurship. I don't think everyone should do it, but I think more of us should. I think we were better off when we were entrepreneurs. But I know for a fact that the jobs won't get you where you want to be. If you were still working in education, there's no way in hell you'd be going to South Africa for a whole month, right? You might go to the south side of Dallas.
Right. It's not even about like, would I have the money? No. Would I have the vacation time? No. Would my boss let me? No. So you're right.
Yeah. So it's like literally it opens you up to things that right now may seem impossible, but that are actually being done by myself, by Terry, by a whole bunch of us entrepreneurs in the community. But you have to, like you said, you got to be scared. Like we're all scared, and then do it anyway. Like I don't like live streams. I don't like videos. I don't like talking into this computer. But here I am doing it, and it gets easier, but it's still like, oh shit, the camera's on. Now I got to talk. Now I got to worry about people talking about my forehead, my hair.
No, not today. Not no.
Thank you so much, Sherry.
Our joy. We just gonna do it for afraid, and we just gonna try. Like, that's the biggest thing. Just try.
Yeah.
There is nothing stopping you. Like I get some people that they come into my class and they're starting to learn, because from day one, your first assignment after 2 weeks in the class is to take your first trade. So they're having to take a trade right away. And I have some people that get a little nervous even from that first trade, and it's like, honey, this is a simulator. Just take the trade. Just try. And then once they get over that first trade, they're like, oh, shoot, I made $12. Let's go. It's just, you got to start on your first. You just got to start.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much, Terry, for doing this. I so appreciate you sharing this information, explaining the difference between trading and long-term investing and day trading, or pattern day trading versus swing trading and all of that. So if you guys missed it, please go back and watch the whole thing from beginning to end. Like, subscribe, share, follow Terry on Instagram at I'm an Investor, and her YouTube channel, which is it I'm an Investor too?
YouTube is Terry Gioma, just my name.
Okay, YouTube channel is Terry Gioma. And thank you guys so much. We appreciate you for coming. Thank you, Terry. Any last words for the people?
Click the link in the comments that Danielle puts up so you can learn more about the course. We'd love to teach you how to invest in the stock market.
Yay, thank you so much. All right, I will see you soon. And if I don't talk to you before you leave for South Africa, safe travels.
Thank you so much.
All right, take care. Bye-bye.